Hey guys, Unit 1 is on points, lines, and planes. If you haven't printed off your notes, it would be a good idea to go ahead and go back and do so in Unit 1 of Schoology. Geometry is full of definitions, and you have to go back to those definitions a lot throughout the entire course, so it would be very beneficial to you to take the notes and to keep up with them throughout the semester. So we are looking at points, lines, and planes to begin with. Alright, so a point is a location. It is a place. Okay, it has no size or shape. So all that means is it can look any way that you want it to. We always use a capital letter to name the point. So we're looking at this point here. It's point A. Right now, a line is made up of points. Right, any 2 points can form a line. So if you're looking here, you have X and Y, points X and Y, they form a line. If you made points A and B, they can form a line. Okay, a line has no thickness, and it also has no width. Alright, just a side note, if you need to pause this video at any time, pause it. Write down what you need to write down. Think through what you need to think through, and then continue watching it. Don't just watch it and let it play without taking the time to understand and the time to write down what you need to write down. Alright, so just like a point, a line has no size. It goes in both directions infinitely. Alright, so you name a line by any 2 points on the line. So if you're looking at this line here, the one in our example, it has 2 points on it, X and Y, and so you would name that line XY. Now the way we signify a line is a line. Alright, and those are arrows. It's hard to write with this pen, but it's line XY. You can also name it with the script letter that's there. So you can name it line N. And what script is cursive. Alright, and you can also do the same thing with the 2 points as you just did with the script N, and you can name it line XY. That's up to you. We prefer this method. Alright, it's the easiest method. It'll be the quickest for you, and it's the most distinguishable method, so we can look through and make sure you got it going on. Alright, looking at collinear points. Alright, if you know what the word coexist means, it means you can exist together. Collinear points exist on the same line. Alright, so they coexist on the line together. So if you're looking at X and Y, they're on the same line. Now, non-collinear points, erase this real quick. Non-collinear points do not exist on the same line. Alright, so you have to have 3 points to be non-collinear, because any 2 points are going to create a line. So if I drew 3 points here, 1, 2, 3, I could draw a line through 2 of them, but 1 of them wouldn't be on there. Okay, I could do the same thing through the other 2, but 1 wouldn't be there. However, if you just drew 2 points, you can draw a line through them, no matter what. And it's always going to work. So those points are always going to be collinear. So for something to be non-collinear, there has to be 3 points, and 1 of those points isn't going to be on the line. Okay? Now, we're pretty familiar with points, we're pretty familiar with lines. We're going to look at planes, which is something you're probably not as familiar with. Alright, this is not like the plane in the sky, which you are familiar with. Alright, a plane is a flat surface. Again, if you need to pause to catch up, feel free to do so. And that flat surface is made up of points. So if we are looking over here in this little box at our plane, we have a plane that's made up of 3 points. Alright, and it's plane P made up of K, J, and L. Okay? Any 3 points make up a plane. Now, you can't just have 2 points, because if you have 2 points, you have a line. If you have 1 point, you have a point. But 3 points, you can have a plane. Alright, a plane extends in all directions infinitely. So that means this line technically goes forever up and down on both sides. And the same thing here, goes on forever here and here. Okay, it's going to go forever in every direction. The plane could be extended here. It's still going to contain K, J, and L, the 3 points that are there. Alright, in order to name a plane, because you're going to need to know how to name a point, name a line, and name a plane. Remember, a point, you just name that point, that A, with a capital letter. A line, you name it line XY, just like up here. And then, sorry, to name a plane, you're going to use the 3 non-collinear points on the plane. There might be more, but you have to choose 3 of those. Okay, so we have 3 points on this plane. Don't confuse P. P is italicized. It is the plane name. All right, but we can also name it by our 3 points. So we would name it plane KJL, or plane JKL, or LJK, however you want to do it. And it can also be named plane P, which is the actual plane name. Alright, so either way, whatever you want to do with that, either way is correct. Alright, now, just like collinear and non-collinear points, you have coplanar and non-coplanar points. Alright, a coplanar point is a point that lies on the same line. A point that lies on the same plane, sorry. So coplanar, K, J, and L are all coplanar because they are in the same plane. Now, in order to have non-coplanar points, that's hard to say. I'm going to erase this stuff. In order to have non-coplanar points, you have to have 4 points, because 3 points create a plane. That 4th point would have to be outside of the plane. Let's just name it A. Those would be non-coplanar points. So J, K, L, and A are non-coplanar because A is outside of the plane. Alright, now, if we're talking about how these intersect with each other, 2 lines are going to intersect at a point. If you look at our example here, we have line R and line S, and they are intersecting at point P. Alright, as you go up, 2 planes intersect at a line. So if you're looking at plane L and plane M, they are going to intersect at line K. That's where they cross. Now remember, intersecting just means where they cross. Everybody should know that, but just a reminder if you don't. Okay, now we're going to move on to some examples of what you might have to do as an assignment. Alright, so naming points, lines, and planes. This is just practice. I want to do it with you, and then I want you to finish up at the end. Alright, so it says use the diagram, number 1. It says use the diagram to the right to name the following. Alright, so A, we are naming 4 collinear points. Now, you can choose any 4 collinear points. Any 4 points that are on the same line. But I see one line that has 4 points on it. Okay, so you got the 4 points H, remember, with a capital letter, N, K, and I. I'm going to put commas to separate those. Alright, now, a line that contains point M. Okay, so we're a line that contains point M. So here's point M right here. It is on line P. So remember, you can name it line P, or we could have named it line MO, and I want to do that too, just so you remember what the line on both sides, or what the line on the top, sorry. Alright, now, a line that contains H and K. So we need to be able to see H and K. Alright, so H is here, K is here. So the line that contains that is either line R. Sorry, it's hard to read when it's so small. Line R, or you could have named it HK because they're on the same line. Alright, now another name for line Q. So we need to find line Q and rename it. Alright, line Q is this line here. Alright, so you can name that line JK because they're on the same line. You could name that line KL. or you can name it line JL. Alright, so there are lots of different options there to rename line Q. Alright, use the diagram to the right to name, skipped part E, the intersection of lines P and R. Okay, so remember, two lines intersect at a point. So if I had two lines here, they're going to intersect here. So if I'm looking at the intersection of lines P and R, here's line P, here's line R, and they cross right there in the middle at point N. Okay, so you should be seeing how points and lines work. Alright, now moving on to diagram 2. Use the diagram to the right to name the following: a line containing point F. So if I have point F, that is on line J, so you can name it line J. You could also name it line DF. Alright, another name for line K. Sorry, if you're naming line K, I need to find K. Alright, line K is here. Another name for that, you could use BE. And remember, you need your line symbol. Or you could use EC. Or you could also name it line BC. So there are several options there. Alright, a plane containing point A. Alright, point A is here. The plane containing that point A is here. The plane containing that point is plane M. Alright, an example of 3 non-collinear points. Okay, so in order to have non-collinear points, one of the points has to be off of a line. Okay, so you need collinear points. So you could say B and E, and then something that's not on that line is point A. So you can say A, B, E are non-collinear. Okay, because B and E are on the same line, but A is not. So it's not on the same line, can't be linear. Or can't be collinear, sorry. Alright, the intersection of plane M and line K. Alright, so if we are looking at the intersection of plane M and line K, alright, so we got plane M here, line K here, they intersect right there in the middle at point E. Okay, so I think I've given you some pretty good examples. I want you to look at number 3 and number 4 and see if you can answer those questions.